a night for Joel Embiid, scoring a career high in 76ers franchise record 70 as the Sixers beat the Spurs 133-123 Monday night. Embiid becomes the 9th player in the history of the league to score 70 or more in a game. Embiid has now scored at least 30 points in 21 straight games, and Philly has now won 6 in a row. And for more on this monumental performance from Joel Embiid, we bring in CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Ryder. Bill, what do you make of Embiid? Look, 30 has become the norm. 70?
Yeah, this is preposterous and absurd in ways that are incredible to watch and magical, obviously, for NBA fans and Philly fans. Russ, you're talking about a guy who, you said it, before this game, over the last 5 or 6 weeks, has played at a level that rivals anything we've seen in a generation or more. I mean, this is all-time great stuff. And against Victor Wembanyama, sort of a high showcase game against a young stud. He just walks in and marches into this moment under these lights he's created for himself and puts down 70. This guy's having an all-time great season, and this so far is the exclamation point. So far in this season of that fact.
Well, that's the thing, what you say so far. Look, I mentioned the streak of 30-plus point performances. I mean, realistically, this isn't a normal season. This is all-time stuff, as you said, but can Philly expect him to keep this up in some way?
I mean, I'm done saying no. I sort of have had, what I thought were not disrespectful, but reasonable doubts that he could continue to average more than a point per minute, which is what he's doing. Now he's certainly doing that entering this game. It felt like an unrealistic standard to try to meet. You're talking Wilt Chamberlain level excellence, things very few people in the history of the sport have done in the modern era. We've got so much competition out there. But, Ross, I just saw the guy put down 70 points and do it. It felt like almost effortlessly against, a young Spurs team that hasn't won a lot of games, but a player in Victor Wembanyama, who we know is a physical specimen, and they did match up against each other several times. So nothing about this guy would surprise me. To answer your question, yes, I think that if he can stay healthy, knock on wood, this is a player, Joel Embiid, who can literally have one of the greatest seasons we've seen in the history of the NBA.
All right, look, Embiid already came into the evening as the betting favorite to be NBA MVP. Obviously, those odds are going to get even shorter, I imagine, with a performance like this. But how close are the next competitors to Embiid at this point? Because if he is the leading candidate, he's only separating himself at this point, right?
So narratives matter, and these sort of seminal statement moments matter. And I'm a voter, so I can remember over the years, you try to see this rationally, but there's so much information. When guys have multiple 50-point games or hit a 60-point game, which is very rare, or maybe have big showcase wins against one of their rivals, that sticks with you. So this 70-point win is, I think, so significant, Russ, and just the way he's played consistently is so significant that as much as I do think Nikola Jokic is in the mix, right, is close, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is close and is in the mix, the best shot for anybody not named Joel Embiid to be the MVP is for Joel Embiid to play fewer than 65 games in this first year, where the rule is you got to hit 65 minimum to qualify for the awards. Outside of that, assuming he plays and plays at the level that he can, it's going to be very hard to beat the dude that just dropped 70 in a game this year in the MVP race.
All right, overlooking the big picture, we mentioned the Sixers have won 6 games in a row. They're still looking up, though, at Milwaukee and then Boston at the top of the Eastern Conference. With Embiid playing the way he is playing, how much of a threat are the Sixers to those 2 other teams?
Yeah, I think that's a really big question, and I'm not trying to dampen at all the greatness of Joel Embiid. He's been one of my favorite players in the NBA since the end of the league. I covered the University of Kansas back many, many years ago, so I was familiar with Embiid. But to answer your question, it all comes down to Embiid against those teams when they match up and try to chase them down in the standings. And let's be frank, Russ, in order for Embiid to live up to the ridiculous standards he has set for himself, even before this year, and certainly now that he's scored 70 points, is on this run, he's got to get his team to what, a finals berth at a minimum. I'm not sure even making an Eastern Conference Finals, which he has never done, is enough. And I think that we saw in this game tonight, and we've really seen over the last 5 or 6 weeks, that he is capable, quite literally, single-handedly, on his own, of doing whatever he puts his mind to on a basketball court. So if that's chasing down the Bucks and the Celtics, who are better, I think, and I like the Sixers team, better basketball teams by being the best player of the group, I think we've seen that he can do it if he can stay healthy. And when we get to the postseason, the goal is going to be deep playoff run, and you got to go through one or maybe, depending where you are, both of those teams, and that will come down to Joel Embiid doing again what we saw in the 70-point game, putting the team on his back. So I think he can do whatever he puts his mind to. I really do. I think that's the level and the zone that he's in, including winning the Eastern Conference and, more importantly, making a deep run. But he will have to take over games and take on the weight of that entire responsibility like he did chasing down these 70 points in this game tonight.
All right, that's the long view. And, of course, in the near term, an historic night in the NBA, and specifically for the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid putting up 70 in a win over the Spurs. That is CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Ryder, and we thank Bill very much. And here's a look at the list of most points in a game in Sixers history. Will Chamberlain dominating that list. Joel Embiid now sitting atop as he puts 70 on the board on Monday night in Philadelphia.